Welcome back, everyone. So I'm your host, Lance Douglas, for the New School Sensei. I've got Ken, the captain here, and we've got Zac. So if you guys don't know Zac, the way Ken describes him is kind of like an enforcer. So we've got a couple of good stories to bring up, but yeah, Zac, he's got, many years experience, competes high level in Australia. One of the coaches, if you're not in AET, I think you do most of the hard work around here. You're obviously got Ninos, he's the big Don. And then stuff needs to get done. It's pretty much you. It's Vince. Who else are the hard workers here?
There's Mickey.
Colby, Mickey.
Colby
Yeah, so, Zac is one of the, unsung heroes here at AET. And we wanted to start with some stories, just so you guys can get to know Zac a bit more. We gave Zac a little bit of a heads up. So, Ken, do you want to start the first story about Zac?
Yeah, so there's a clip going around where Zac is actually choking someone out with their own belt at their grading. So do you want to just explain that story, Zac?
So at AET, after our gradings, we choke him with the old belt. It's like a symbol of the last time he'll be submitted at that current belt. So I was doing it in Invictus when I was coaching there. And I go to one of the boys. I'm like, hey, don't tap when I choke you. Just did it as a joke. And then I start choking him and he's not tapping. So in my head, I'm like, I can't let go. Like, I have to do what I said I was going to do. He has to tap. He didn't tap. I drop him and everyone was shocked. Everyone's like, why'd you put him out? Why is he asleep? I'm like, you boys told me to do it first of all. And he didn't tap. Like, what am I going to do? Let go. It's on him to tap. And then we recorded it, put it up on Instagram and got a bunch of hate from Brazilians. Like, there's just Portuguese comments of them abusing me. They're like, this is barbaric. Why are you doing this? And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, when Zac, he's a man of his word. If he
Honestly,
says something,
we said we were going to do it.
he's going to follow through. So yeah, and it's good to hear you get a lot of love for the Brazilians. So that's
the Brazilians love me in person, on Instagram, everywhere.
Another good story I've used, Zac, is I remember it must have been a couple of years ago back in the glass house. Because AET at the moment we're in a beautiful facility, there's showers, there's hundreds of mats, a lot of car park. At the glass house, there was pretty much no car parking there. It was very
fighting over car parks.
Ninos,
every class over car parks.
Every class, Ninos would be like almost one by one, like, hey, do you park over there? It's like, oh, do you park over here?
Yeah, it was at the point where we were parking where we weren't meant to, just because they told us not to. Like, that take our car spots. I'm like, you know what? If you're going to take our car spots, I'm going to take your car spots. Like, so, yeah. Boys were ripping down their no parking signs.
Oh, really?
I honestly don't know who it was, but they were getting ripped down. And, yeah.
But no, I kind of missed the glass house. Had a good feel to it.
It was a very old school gym vibe, like an old school jiu-jitsu.
How that smell?
Gym.
That old school smell?
Yeah, it did have that smell.
Apparently there was some extra stuff on top of the roof, when you pop those tiles.
Oh, there was extra stuff on the roof, under the mats. Like, there was extra stuff everywhere at that gym.
Well, like a layer of mold that we didn't notice, or?
There was a layer of mold that we cleaned and got rid of. There was that. We fixed all that.
Yep, left in a good state. But yeah, so getting back to the story, we decided to bring our students to the HQ because we always talk about, you guys got to get down. They've got classes this, you can come once a week. Of course, our students, none of them ever rocked up. So we're like, hey, you guys are coming to the HQ. So it was a Thursday session and, we get to rolling. Everything's going well. It's a normal class, and I see Kenny, he's rolling with one of the students. I'll just call him Vimy. I can't actually remember his proper name, but we had Vimy. And a lot of people know that I'm a pretty relaxed guy. You'd say that, yeah, Zac?
Yeah, both of you are very, very
like, you'd never seen me get angry or, agitated or anything, to
Honestly,
be honest.
Never, no.
Yeah, and this was the first time I saw Vimy rolling Ken, and I was about to stop my roll and just start punching on with this guy.
Okay.
Like, this guy was coming at Ken, knee rides on the neck, like jumping around, like just a lot of venom. But the thing is, he was wearing a knee brace. So I saw Ken got out of it. And then guess what Ken does? Straight away, once he gets his single leg X.
Attacks that leg with the knee.
Hard heel hook. And I wasn't even rolling. I was just, when you're rolling, you just stay on top and you can watch other people.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. I was just keeping an eye on things in case Ken needed some backup. was almost like
we
at
do that all
school.
the time. We watch and just like observe, make sure no one does anything stupid, anything like that.
It was almost like a schoolyard thing. You're just looking after a mate. And then, so now this guy, Vimy, he's like, oh, my knee. And Ken's like, come on, man. Like, you going spazzing out on me. So, yeah, they got through that round. And then, obviously, I rolled him next. So, I just went comp mode and hard. I threw him, and literally he tapped from exhaustion after a minute.
Yeah.
So
that's generally the case with those guys, though.
Vimy was like, he was a white belt, but just really juicy and just a lot of aggression.
Yeah.
But even that's not even the best part of the story. So we have another guy here, Emad. We've got to get him on the show someday. Emad's a legend.
He's very entertaining.
He just calls it as it is. And Vimy obviously was going hard on Emad. And Emad he gives him a cheeky slap, like, what are you doing? And then they start arguing. And of course, Zac, you're the enforcer. You're trying to do the right thing, yeah? So do you want to talk the rest of the story through from your perspective? And then I'll say from my perspective.
My thing is, I've said it before, Nino shouldn't be the one breaking fights up. He's the coach, he's older, he's got injuries. It shouldn't be his job to physically get involved with these guys. So I saw him arguing, I walk over, I'm like, boys, relax, like stop. And they just wouldn't stop. They kept going. And then Emad eventually stopped. And the other guy, I'm not going to mention his name, the other guy kept going. And then he turned to me and started getting aggressive towards me. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are we doing this? And then he said something to me, insulted me. I snapped. And when I snapped, I tried to run at him, tried to fight him, which wasn't the smartest thing to do. And luckily, Tommy Gun and there was a guy called Pedro. He was like big, 120 kilos of muscle. And those two held me back, which I'm sort of thankful for because I shouldn't be fighting people in the gym. And that was pretty much the extent of it from my memory. You boys might have seen it different, but
no, that was pretty much it. It was just funny. We bring our students, show them what AET is about, and that just so happens to be the class they come to. And I guess
in the club's defense, I'm pretty sure this guy was from a different affiliate.
He was from a different affiliate.
He wasn't from HQ.
We get a lot of guys from different clubs coming to our club, and then when other guys from other clubs come, they don't know who's who. So they'll have guys going crazy, going spastic, doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. And then it just makes us look bad. Like, we'll have visitors from other affiliates come, and then one of our affiliates who comes here once every 3 weeks has done something stupid. They're like, AT, they roll hard, they're trying to injure us, all this, when it's not actually us. Most of the time, it's other affiliates doing it. Like, you guys have rolled our boys. We don't do that. Like, when you roll out black belts, Tommy Gunn, Colby, and myself, Michael Tomei, the Messos, like, none of those boys do any of that stuff. We're pretty chill when we roll.
Yep. And this was like probably 3, 4, 5 years ago. I think it was before the lockdown.
This was pre-lockdown. Yeah.
Pre-lockdown. So it was a different time. Like, it's a bit more wild. You guys definitely run a lot tighter ship here.
Yeah,
so,
it's very different now.
Because since it's such a professional setup, it's almost like, you have to act a little bit more professionally.
That's the thing. We should act more professional now. That's the way it is. Like, we have a nice gym, nice facilities. We sort of have to act up to it now.
Yeah. And at the Glass House, it was almost like that Fight Club vibe. Like, you come in, get that smell of the sweat.
Just
it's called a Glass House, but no open windows.
That's the thing.
So that was ironic.
So you couldn't open windows anyway. We had 2 little aircon systems, and that was it. Like, in winter, the walls would be wet. Like, that's what it was like training there. And it was a very old school vibe. It was kill or be killed.
Yeah, but not anymore. But yeah, I thought those were some good stories.
Yeah.
Just so the guys can get to know you. Now, the main reason we want to get you in, so we want to go through teaching half guard.
All right.
Especially the way Ken describes it, he wants to learn, how do you deal with the big, juiced up masters athletes in half guard?
Yeah, okay. So my thing with half guard is, when I'm rolling in the gym, everyone knows I play half guard. So a lot of guys will back off from my half guard and try like a loose passing style where then they're not really engaging half guard. So I'll play more of like an open half guard, like a reverse De La Riva, that sort of stuff. But in comp, the guys don't know that I'm going to play half guard. So they're happy pushing forward. And when they're pushing forward, they're sort of giving me what I want. They're letting me get underneath. They're letting me control their arms. They're letting me play my game. So in comp, I find it easier to do half guard than I do in the gym, because they don't understand what they're doing wrong, because you guys have done jiu-jitsu. You always get taught, you go chest to chest, get the underhook, get the crossface, and then it's easy to pass from there when it's not really the case.
Especially against you, Zac.
Well, I've developed done jiu-jitsu for 14 years now, and I think late white belt, I'm like, I don't want to suck off my back. Like, all the big boys suck. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to learn how to do guard. So I've been doing guard for 12 years now.
Respect.
Yeah, so it's a lot of time put into this.
So, Zac, just say if you've got 1 month to teach, like a room of you got blues, purples, browns, how to play half guard.
Yep.
How would you structure that month? Like from the first week, the first lesson?
So
which half guard do you start with? What skills do you start off with?
I would start with a chest-to-chest half guard.
Yep.
Explaining why this is bad.
Oh, so start in the worst case.
Start in the worst case. Because that's where you're going to end up. If you don't have a half guard, you're not going to be able to reverse De La Riva. You're not going to be able to do a knee shield. Like, it's pointless me showing the attacking positions if you can't actually get there.
Yeah.
So I'd show worst case scenario, starting chest to chest, and then sort of work backwards.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then after that, would you start to show them a knee shield, or would you go into more more like a wrestle up sort of game?
Yeah. So there's 3 half guards I'll use for attacking together.
Yep.
So between deep half, knee shield, and underhook wrestle up stuff, they all sort of go hand in hand, because when you're attacking one and they defend, they have to give you the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those 3 I'd sort of alternate between positions and show an attack, like sort of a fake attack, to make them react to actually get what you want. So I'd play with those 3, and then I'd probably finish it off with a low knee shield, reverse De La Riva entries, that sort of stuff. Yep.
Yeah, because so it was actually really hard to find match footage from you. There's only 1 match out there.
Yeah, so I competed a bunch at white and blue belt. Then at purple belt, I sort of got competition anxiety and didn't want to compete. And then by the time I got my brown belt and was ready to compete again, we had issues with getting my paperwork signed.
Okay.
So
always the paperwork.
Yeah, so
always.
Our coach decided to go missing for a month and not reply to emails or anything. And I remember it was Pampax. Was it 2018 Pampax? Yeah, no, 2019 Pampax, just before lockdown. Rob Whittaker signed up for my division at brown belt. And I'm like, I want to do this. I don't care if I lose, but when do you get an opportunity to grapple someone of that level? And then submitted all my paperwork, this, that, and just waited a month, missed the date, missed everything. Then obviously lockdown happened, couldn't compete during that, got my black belt, and then it's like, you know what, all you black belts are competing. I'm like, okay, and did Pampax.
Oh, yeah, cool, yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty much how I got back into competing.
Do you want to speak about that 1 match that's on Fusion versus Augusto Cousinho?
Okay, so Tommy Gunn was scheduled to have a match against Augusto. And during training, we didn't say anything, obviously, but Tommy Gunn's back was not good. He was very injured. And we're just trying to maintain it, trying to push through it. And then it got to the day before weigh-in. And he's like, boys, my back's numb. I'm like, Tommy, pull out. You're not going to lose anything. Just pull out. He pulled out. And then Mateo, the promoter of Fusion, rang me. And I'm like, I know why he's ringing. He rang me. He's like, hey, do you want to do the match? I'm like, not really.
Not going to lie.
Honestly, no. But if I have to do it, I will. It was one of those things. And then
you're a good guy.
He's talking to him. He's like, oh, who else can do it? I'm like, Thomas Meso wants to compete. Thomas Meso's good. Thomas Meso's better than me. He'll do it. He rang Thomas, do you want to do it? Thomas is like, yeah, I want to do it. So Mateo rings me again. He's like, look, it's between you 2 boys. Which one you want to do it? I'm like, I don't mind. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. If Thomas wants to do it, he can do it. And then this is what I got told. I don't know how much truth there is to it. But he left it in the hands of Augusto, and Augusto chose me. And then that's how we pretty much got to that match.
One apiece.
Well,
that was his first time versing you, yeah?
The way I look at it is he has a lot more to lose losing to Thomas. Thomas is lighter, younger. I'm 120 kilo black belt. It's a bigger gain for him beating me than it is Thomas. Even though, Thomas is much better than me. I think he's a bigger feather in your cap than I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, from, watching the match, it sort of started off with you straight away. You pulled guard. You just sat down. And then Augusto, he did some heavy slaps, aka collar ties on you. And I'm very surprised you were getting, it looks like you were getting a bit, they were heavy.
Is this combat jiu-jitsu match?
That's my thing. If you want to do combat, we'll do combat. If you want to go fight in the street, we'll go fight in the street. Don't give me a rule set.
You take what you can get.
Yeah, don't give me a rule set, then I'll follow the rules. But, so my cardio sucked. Like, I'll admit that. For training for this match, I had, 2 days? Like, I didn't even want to train. I'm like, I'm just going to get injured if I train for 2 days. And leading up to it, little Ryan Braish had a match for the youth belt, and I was just helping coach him. Like, all my training here was coaching him through rounds. So I wasn't really training. So I'm like, I'm going to pull guard and sweep him quickly, get on top, pass him in. Like, easy game plan. Don't get angry. Don't get frustrated. Pulled guard, he slapped me. I'm like, just instantly.
What type of slap? What is he like doing? A collar tie? He's just straight up slap.
Doing hard collar ties, but
he's slapping essentially.
But he's clubbing you. Like, he's hitting you pretty hard.
And he wasn't really doing anything with it. It's not like he was collar tying coming in. It was just
he was doing it
slapping
just to frustrate me.
Yeah.
Like, he was just doing it as a thing. And then I'm like, don't get angry. And then he kept doing it. I turned to him and I had some words for him. I threatened him. I'm like, if you do it again, I'm going to get up. We're going to get into a fight, this, that. And then he didn't do it again. Then he started passing my guard, disengaged it again. I turned to Nino. I'm like, coach, if he does this one more time, like, that's it. Like, I'm not doing jiu-jitsu anymore. And didn't do it again. And then the match was pretty much what you see in the video. It was me playing half guard. So I'd pull reverse De La Riva. He'd start pressuring into me. And from the pressuring into me, he'd give me an underhook, or I'd get an underhook. I don't know which way it happened, one or the other. And I'd go to come up, get in a single leg. And I feel I didn't have the cardio to finish the single leg. That's the only reason why I couldn't get what I wanted. And he'd pass the turtle, recover half guard, and that was the match.
Yeah, like it was like essentially you didn't really do anything wrong in the match. I feel like it's just that he was a little bit fitter, a bit more explosive, and he took advantage.
Yeah, I think he competes a lot more, so he has a good comp mindset. And also that, he just pushed the pace and took advantage of me not being good at comp and not having the cardio to finish a match properly at that time.
There was like two things that I sort of saw that was really cool. When you play like a knee shield, since you've got long legs, you can actually cross your legs pretty well. So that sort of stopped him from bringing his knee up. So
that's like a Kyotera low knee shield. When I was a white belt, I did a seminar with him.
Oh, really?
I learned that, and it's like it's super low on the hip, and instead of going across the body, it stops at the closer hip and lets you lock them down, and that prevents them from knee slicing without having to stand up. So when they stand up, let you open up your half guard.
Is that something a small guy like me can do with shorter legs?
From Kyotera, so 100%. Like, he competed at 57 kilos?
Yeah,
he was 57 kilos back in the day, like 10-time world champion. So that's where I got that stuff from. And then
so your knee is on his
close hip.
Okay.
Not across his body like a knee shield.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, like it just shuts him down. Like he couldn't lift his knee up. He couldn't really.
Well, that's the thing, is it doesn't let you pressure into him. Or even if you do pressure, you're sort of putting pressure on your own hip. So I don't care if you're pressuring, getting underhooks, any of that doesn't really bother me. And then when you stand up, you're just opening up to that reverse De La Riva / open half guard, let me go underneath, that sort of stuff again.
Yeah. And then the second thing I saw that was really interesting, when he had a chest to chest on you, you sort of triangled your leg instead of just like, like a regular half guard, you sort of cross your legs. You had almost like a triangle on there to kick because your legs are quite long. So
from chest to chest, the only really option he's going to have is either pummeling his legs to go to a 3/4 mount or to do an E-cup bumps. So if I triangle in my legs, that's just going to stop that. So I don't mind chest to chest. Like, I don't care. You can weigh 200 kilos. You're not going to pressure me and pressure tap me or anything like that. So none of that bothers me. I'm like, I'll triangle my legs, just sort of hold him there for a sec and try frame, get underhooks back and try reverse the position.
Because I'm just thinking, like, if I teach my guys this, you see them training and they're just getting smashed. Like, even if the guy's not like advancing, they're still getting like cross-faced and it's just horrible for them. And they end up not wanting to play the position. Is there any tips for them to stop that cross-face or just getting smashed in the upper body?
There is, but it's sort of, you have to get comfortable with it. Like, I don't mind being there. I can sit there.
You got a good jaw?
Yeah, it clicks and stuff. But other than that, it's all right. But it just like, it's not enough to tap you. Like, uncomfortable's whatever. You guys have done jiu-jitsu. Like, you can sit in uncomfortable. So just being like comfortable with it being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you don't get like I've had guys who have panic attacks underneath from getting smothered, and that's like, you just have to embrace it and get used to it and realize this isn't that bad.
So is that where you would start them in the worst position so they get comfortable?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, if I start you there and you're like, this is the worst it gets, anything else is an upgrade.
Yeah.
Whereas if I start you in a knee shield, then you end up in a crossface with an underhook. It's like, this sucks. I don't want to be here.
Mhm.
And that's when they mentally break and let them pass and that sort of stuff.
I like it. And then your second match with him, because you said you actually rematched him
Yeah, so
at Pampax, which I couldn't find footage. Well, I'm interested to see, because you said you swept him, so I'm interested to hear how you swept him.
second match was at Pampax. He just signed up for my division. And first round, I'm like, fuck, here we go again.
What was the first round?
So my plan was to smash Pampax, put up an Instagram post, call him out for fusion.
Oh, yeah, go again. Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, we'll do it.
Let's do it again.
So same thing, pulled guard again, because I don't see the point in wrestling in jiu-jitsu. Like, we're doing a grappling thing. Like, I'm confident in my gut. Like, a lot of the heavyweights suck and they don't want to be on their back, but it's like, what happens if I get swept and I'm on my back? I need to do this anyway. So I figured I'll pull guard. Did the same thing, reverse De La Riva. This time, he got the underhook off the reverse De La Riva.
Yeah.
So as he got the underhook, started pushing in, I got a scoop grip with my opposite arm, pulled him into a deep half, and due to him having an underhook, I overhooked his arm and swept him over to the side. And from there, it was sort of just like a scramble to get to his guard. From guard, he was actually very good guard. He was attacking for triangles, arm bars, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, there is no.
Was he in a closed guard?
It was a closed guard.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no chance I'm getting tapped by somebody in closed guard. Like, that's not happening. Got to chest half guard. And again, I gassed. My cardio sucked.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to rest here for a second. Copped a penalty, which I'm like, fair enough. Like, I can't even argue the penalty. I passed his legs, forced him to turtle.
That's an advantage.
Which should have been an advantage. Nothing happened. He got back to half guard, scrambled up to his feet. And then as I was pulling guard, he touched my legs and got 2 points for a takedown. So 2-2, and I had a penalty. So 2-2, I had an advantage for chest to chest and a penalty.
Yes, it was even.
So I was up by an advantage.
Okay, yeah.
Then as he got the takedown, the ref gave him 2 points. I turned to the ref and I sit there. I'm arguing with the ref. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I wasn't a takedown.
You gotta learn Portuguese, mate.
I'm arguing with his coach. And then I see Ninos. I think it was Ninos and Michael Tomei. They're screaming at me like, what are you doing? Pay attention to the match. Like, just do it after. And as that's happening, he runs around my legs. So I'm sort of sitting in like a seated guard. He runs around. Match finishes and they give him an advantage after the match.
Yeah, and he's
so
got
I
it.
lost on a penalty.
Wow.
And
there
that was the second match. So
we got the big boss coming in. Hey.
So credits to him for being good at comp, but I feel like I can beat him.
Because it sounds like you did more jiu-jitsu than him, but he sort of won via the rules.
That's what I believe too. Like, as I said, he competes a lot, so he's very, very good at competing. And I can't really, I'm in no position to say I'm better than him. He's beat me twice now, but I believe I can very easily beat him.
It's often like that, isn't it? It's not always the best guy that wins. It's almost like the fitter, more comp-ready guy that wins.
That's a lot of the time what happens. Like, I've seen Tommy Gunn come back from injury 2-3 years of not competing, compete, and just lose in the dumbest way to someone that has no rights in beating him. Like, if you put him in the gym, Tommy Gunn would tap him in 30 seconds every single time.
I think I saw it. Was it last Pampax?
It was last Pampax.
He got toe hold. I was like,
toe holded off of Berimbolo, and even him afterwards, I was talking to him, and he's like, I have no idea why I did that. I'm like, yeah, Tommy, what are you doing? But like, it just happens.
But then you look at Tommy's latest match. He beat Dan Schuart.
You look at that.
He's like one of the best in Australia.
And he won the Battleground belt as well. On what? I think it was like a week's notice or something.
Mm-hmm.
Flew up there, did a 20-minute match and won that.
Beast.
So it's like, yeah, it's not always the case. Even in saying that, just while we're on the topic of Tommy Gunn, they're doing trials for the CGI.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy's going to go for it.
Well, they're doing a 99 kilo, but only inviting 6 people for the trials.
Inviting 6 people.
Inviting 6 people. So people are applying and they're only inviting 6 people.
Got to give Tommy a shot. He beat Dan.
So they're going to put Dan Short in it. I can't see why they're going to say no to Tommy Gunn. Like, Tommy Gunn has to be part of that trial.
That's a weird trials where it's invite. Usually trials.
Yeah, so they're doing it. They're doing applications and then inviting 6 people for a trial. And out of those 6 people, they're giving a 99 kilo shot and a 99 plus kilo shot.
Yeah, cool.
I reckon they should have just open tournament.
They should, but he just wants, I don't know, Lockie Giles is running and wants to keep it like super in-house, like tiny numbers.
Maybe just easier to manage instead of...
maybe. But yeah, well, just while we're on the topic of Tommy, he has to get a shot at that and he'll win that. Like, no questions, Tommy will win that.
Is the trials in a pit
I'm not too sure.
Because you have to someone to build a pit for him.
The video we saw was just a
You're pretty good with the tools, aren't you? You build something.
I can. I don't know if Absolute will want me building a pit in the gym though. So.
Just right in the middle of the mat.
Yeah.
If like Tommy Gunn made it, then they'd probably just build a pit here, wouldn't they?
Yeah, do you reckon we get
Honestly,
a pit here?
you could.
Because there's literally like tons of mats. There's a boxing ring and there's like a cage.
Well, they want to extend the mats anyway, so I can't see why we couldn't do a temporary thing, but we'll see.
I actually thought that was wild about hearing about that extent because the mat space here, it's one of the biggest mats I've seen.
It is, but our night classes are hectic. Like we get hundreds on the mats, and there's no room.
Yeah,
like you can't wrestle, you can't really do too much. Our classes are huge here, so
fair enough. Lance, do you have any questions about teaching half guard? Because Lance is I'm
thinking about the Tommy Gunn getting into the next CGI. That'd be sick. Any other AET boys you reckon will get an invite for the trial?
So they did. So they've already got Lucas Cannard at 88 and
so he's
Levi
auto.
at 77. They're auto, which is fair enough. Like they both did very well the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of eliminates a lot of the boys just due to weight. Like Thomas Messo, who's I believe the best grappler we have at this gym, would do 88. But
that's a big call.
I believe he is. Like
respect. He's one of the guys that flies way under the radar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like he's quiet, so he competes and wins. Like I'm pretty sure he's won the last 2-3 pan packs at black belt, gi or no gi, and no difficulties. Smashed everyone he's competed against. 2 fusion matches, won both of them. Like just beats everyone.
How do you go versus him? Be able to pull your half guard and work it, or
so if I pull half guard, it's a lot easier than if I'm on top. If I'm on top, I don't think I pass this guard ever.
Really?
Like,
even you? Because your passing is amazing.
Maybe
like
a handful of times since I've known him. If that, like his guard is fucking amazing.
Is that just because he's so flexible, he can just ball up, or is it just?
I think it's he's trained since he's a kid, and he's had Michael Tomei as his mentor.
Yeah, he's very flexible.
So he's had Michael just teaching him jiu-jitsu his whole life, and he's smart. He just puts it all together well.
Good on him.
Yeah, but yeah, the weights sort of make it hard. Like Tommy Gunn's sort of the only guy who's in that 99, 100 kilo weight class that's a competitor that could compete in that.
Jimmy Crook could give it a crack. Well, they wouldn't want.
I don't know if UFC would let him. Yeah, because I know the UFC has stipulations with like you can't get. There's no comps with heel hooks and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, and there's definitely hooks. In this one.
I don't think they'll make special rules.
Nah.
So.
But it would be fun to see him because he's a monster grappling.
Jimmy Cruz ridiculous. Grappling. Like I've grappled him for 5-6 years now, and he just gets better and better and better and better.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
How's your half guard match up with him?
So at the start, I felt good. Like the first few times, it was pretty even. Then his last fight camp, I grappled him once, and he just passed my guard like nothing.
Wow.
And I told him afterwards, I'm like, Jimmy, what's going on? Like, I've never felt this before.
How's he passing your guard? Like, even if you're locking up your half guard, you got the low knee shield.
I couldn't tell you. Like, if I knew, I'd stop it.
I'll have to get security footage.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Like, I know what happened. I know what was he passing with? I can't even, double unders he was getting. That's how he was passing, but it was just like the timing, the strength, the speed, just everything was ridiculous with it.
Yeah. And like, you need a lot of strength to pass you double unders.
Yeah, it was just like, I said to him, I'm like, you've never felt like this before. Like, this is the best person I've ever grappled. Like, that's how good you feel right now.
Look out for his next match, hopefully, yeah?
100%. Like, I can't even explain how good Jimmy Cruz's grappling's been recently. And that's not even me just, like, bragging about, talking him up. I felt it. Like, I've grappled a lot of good guys, and just ridiculous how good he is.
Oh, fair enough. If we go back on the topic of half guard, I'd one question. So, I always struggle with half guard where I can usually get my sweeps going versus people that are not that good or if they're smaller. But if I verse anyone that's a good wrestler, it's always hard to come up on that single leg. Are there any tips that you would have for me to actually start to finish some half guard sweeps?
Yeah, so against like the good wrestlers and those top heavy guys, the wrestle ups aren't going to work too well. What I like to do is I'll sort of bait the wrestle ups, like I'll go for wrestle up, go for wrestle up, go for wrestle up, and get them to start opening up that scoop grip on the opposite leg. And then using that, I'll go underneath to deep half to more like less traditional half guard positions, and then work from there. And then once you're in deep half and they have to defend that, that's when you can go back to your wrestle ups. When they've off balanced themselves to defend your scoop grips and going underneath, that's when you go back to the wrestle ups.
Interesting. How do you teach that? to your students? Because they're
that-
going to be...
That's a hard one.
Yeah, because the students are white, blue belts. they're not
Yeah,
that
so
good.
it's like a conceptual thing. Like you need to know where to move their base, or even before you do something, you need to know how they're going to react. So you're doing movements, knowing what their reaction is going to be. So you're half a step ahead every single time. Whereas when you're a white and blue belt, you're doing something, they're moving, and then when they move, you're like, oh, they moved here. So it's just it's repetition. You need to know when I do this, this is what's going to happen. Not when I do this, this might happen.
Yep.
You need to be certain in what the outcome's going to be of your action, like what you do, what the outcome's going to be straight after.
That's interesting because I found with my students, we've taught them all these half guard techniques. None of them use it, but the students that actually play half guard, I haven't really shown them the half guard. It's just something they've naturally found themselves and they've done their own research. That's just.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's right, Lance?
Yeah, we got a couple of guys because you do a 1 or 2 month block showing half guard, and then they get smashed. They don't use it, but our other guys, like we got a couple of purple belts. We didn't really show them any half guard.
Phil's
and we got Phil. Shout out to
He's
Phil.
deep half guard,
and we didn't show him really anything. He did his own research, so it's almost like you do him a disservice showing them half guard.
Like we
From our
used to do,
experience.
when me and Colby taught, we started off doing the same stuff. We do like block systems, and it gets to the same thing. It's like if we're doing half guard bottom for 2 months straight, the guys on top are passing half guard for 2 months.
Oh, they're getting good at passing.
So they're getting good at passing. That's the thing. It's like, so it gets frustrating. Even though you're learning, you suck at it at the beginning. So you're learning together. So as you're getting better, they're getting better, and it feels like you're not doing anything. So eventually we started doing like alternating. We'd do like 4 topics at the same time, alternating days, getting like different sessions in during the week, but over let's say instead of doing 1 month blocks, we do 4 topics over a 4 month block with alternating days. So it would still be the same thing, but it would just change it up a slight little bit.
So what you do, like half guard, and then
So if we're doing passing, we'd do like half guard passing, open guard passing, 4 different passing positions and alternating passing from there. So it's still the same area, but just different positions. So it's not always stuck in the same spot.
Interesting. What's the science behind that? Because Lance has the background in it.
I like to think so.
Colby will give you the science.
Oh, yeah, because Colby's doing the
He'll give you all the science.
Yeah. It sounds like you're interleaving the topics, and they do that a lot in schools. And
I think that's where he got it from.
So are you guys doing, say, if it's half guard passing for the whole week and then moving on to something else?
We didn't even do it weekly. So we had it in alternating days. So we had classes 4 times a week. We do Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, same topics. And then switching the next week. And we do that. I can't remember if we did 1 month or 2 month blocks like that. So it was, alternate. So twice a week and then switching. And that's what it was. It was 2 topics at a time switching and then alternating weeks and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because that's interleaving topics, and they find that's good for like memory retention. Okay. Like if you just do one thing, like say if we just learn history for 2 months straight, obviously you get good at history. But if you do, say for 2 months, do history one day, mathematics another day, English another day, over the long term, like over a year, 2 years, you're actually better doing multiple subjects.
Yeah, well, that's why we were doing it too. We were like, Jiu-Jitsu is a long-term thing. Like it takes 10 years to get a black belt. I don't care whether you get good in 3 months or a year. I'm doing this to get you guys good in 5 years, 10 years. Like I want you to get to purple belt and actually understand everything and know what's going on.
How did you go with like just retention of the students? Because sometimes when we play around with the curriculum like that, like the student kind of wants to like just focus on one thing and get good. They want to get good quick. But if we're going a longer term approach, like we found we kind of lose students doing that.
So we felt our retention was pretty good when we were at Invictus. Like we didn't really lose members due to it, but we also would stay back and help half an hour every class. So like we would, I guess, do an open mat every single day where they could ask us.
You guys are famous for us, you and Colby. Like I always ask you guys questions. Yeah.
I just feel like if someone needs help, I'm there to help. Like, me staying back 15 minutes isn't gonna like change anything. I might as well help you guys or help anyone that needs help. So
awesome. And in that time, were the classes gi or no gi or both? And like it'd be cool to see how did that system.
So we'd have twice a week was a single class. One was gi, one was no gi, and then twice a week was gi, no gi, back to back.
Cool. And were the topics the same? It didn't
same topics. Yeah, no gi.
Really? Yep. So you guys didn't go into like any crazy sort of.
When we did leg lock stuff, it was very different in the gi to no gi.
Yeah,
that was the only. That was the only thing we were able to change.
Yeah.
But yeah, gi, no gi, like to me, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. Yes, I prefer no gi, and I train gi once every 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
But if you're good at jiu-jitsu, you're good at jiu-jitsu. You can see it at the highest level. Like Levi Jones was a gi guy. How good is he doing in no gi? Like he
almost got $1 million, eh?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's jiu-jitsu.
Arguably should have got the million, yeah.
I think he should have got it too. But still, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. It doesn't matter. If I teach you something in gi, we can very easily adapt the grip slightly to no gi and vice versa.
How do the grips change then if you're playing half guard gi versus no gi?
So in no gi, it's a lot of framing, like cross shoulder posts, framing on the bicep. In gi, it's just so much easier. Like,
how come you can
just have a cross collar? Like that cross collar grip does everything for you.
Okay.
That's your push, your pull, like that is everything.
Do you have that cross collar, like just say if you had the person's right leg in half guard, are you doing that with your left hand or your right hand cross collar?
So if I'm on my right hip, it's my left hand. So the top arm.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
It's always
that makes sense. Yeah.
They can't underhook you if you have a cross collar. They can't come into you. They can't pull away.
It just replaces the cross shoulder post.
Yeah.
Just go muzzle
but
cross
it's
collar.
just so much stronger. Because the cross shoulder sort of, you can't pull in, you can just push away. Whereas this, you have a nice fist grip, you can push, pull, you can off balance. It just does everything.
I find in the gi, half guard's way easier.
I think so.
Like
too.
top and bottom.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
Even like on the bottoms. I'm not as good as you, Zach, but I'd pretty much in the gi, if I'm in any trouble, I'll go deep half and I'll do the banana fire straight as sweep. So I get the lapel out.
Yeah, that's
and then go under and
go to 100% in gi as well.
Oh yeah,
I remember
it's like a bench press.
Essentially a bench press.
Taught us at blue belt, and since I saw that, I'm like, this is easy. Like, what's stopping me from just feeding that under, feeding my other arm, breaking their posture? So yeah, gi, I believe, is much easier. And
Lance is playing a new one, aren't you, Lance? You want to tell?
I've been playing with bit of a toothpick card, so lapel single leg. So you get that underneath. And it's just if they stand up with a single leg, like
you've got the lapel on.
You just turn into a better wrestler with that lapel.
Yeah, that's one of
it's just so easy. Like you just grab the collar and you just take them forward, take them backwards.
Yeah, I agree. 100% that's easier. Just opposite lapel, feed it underneath.
Because the gi wrestling is way easier than no gi wrestling.
Yes and no.
Yeah, well, why is that?
From that position, I think so, because you're already starting with grips, but trying to shoot on someone standing when they just have a grip on you.
Oh, true. Yeah.
But when you're already in a wrestle up position, I agree. It's so like no one's breaking a grip. Mid wrestle up, no one's breaking a grip on you.
Yeah, we've got a couple of good wrestlers at the club, and like obviously if it was pure wrestling, I wouldn't have a chance with a double leg. But
at Twins,
at Twins, we got one wrestler, Aki, national level wrestler. Okay. So he runs our Thursday sesh for no gi, and like. If I was going to double leg him no-gi, no chance. But if I can get the lapel single and then grab his pant leg the other side, like I'm double legging every time.
Yeah, I agree. So, it makes it so much easier.
Even you'll be surprised, like Kenny, he's pretty much done mainly no-gi. He's thinking about going back to the gi.
Just because of Aki, just because all my half-guard stuff, he has got a whizzer from Hull. He's got a sprawl from Hull. All my half-guard stuff.
That's where you need to start playing, like a deep half sort of position.
I might have to investigate that. I used to play deep half back when I was blue belt, but I was just sick of getting smashed because you're just getting mashed pretty much. But I'm thinking about going back.
You just have to get like comfortable with it. That's all.
No gi, it's different though, because in the gi it's easier. You got all the grips, whereas
in the gi they're attacking your neck and that. No gi, there's no threat. Like they can try Kimura you, but if they get that Kimura grip, 9 out of 10 times you get swept. So it's like
if it's you.
but in general though, like they have no base whatsoever towards that way. All you got to do is turn them towards their head. And they're either going to try and get the Kimura and get swept or just fall over. Like it's pretty easy to defend the submission.
Do you do like a 1-2? You go one way and then go the other way?
Not from deep half too much, no. I'll let them sort of dictate and try figure out where their base is.
Interesting.
About to show us after the podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Bang, bang.
But yeah, I feel like if I'm going back and forth, it feels like I'm letting them know what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them a heads up of what's going on. Whereas if I just sit there, sort of analyze what they're doing and play off them, that makes it easier for me, I think.
And you got to keep your arm in pretty tight because I always find if
I don't
get lazy,
I honestly don't mind
if you're in the underhook because you'll sweep them that way.
Yeah, that just gives me an overhook. Like I don't care.
Okay. Yep. That's actually a pretty good strategy because everyone's going to go for it.
Everyone goes for it. And if you get a deep one, you've broken your own posture. If you get a shallow underhook, you've just given me a complete overhook on your arm.
Yep.
So yeah.
Maybe we'll shoot a video after this because I'm keen because Emad, we mentioned before, like he always, like if I leave my arm out, he's getting the Kimura. Yeah.
Oh,
he's annoying.
He does that to me every single time and he gets swept every single time.
We're going to have to record this 100%.
Yeah, we can.
If Emad's into that,
he's very good at that trap system.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah, that's all he goes.
He loves
Kimuras from everywhere.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And he's got the physique, like he's quite
He's
strong
strong.
upper body.
He's very upper body strong. So.
He's all natty too, apparently.
Apparently a lot of them are.
Yeah. No, that's been good. I think it'd be a good time to wrap up. Ken, do you have any other last questions? Seems like pretty comprehensive, to be honest.
I've got some really good tips from half guard, and I'm gonna probably start a block on half guard, but I might try out what he's talking about. Don't just do the one thing. Cut in a few different topics.
Try it.
It makes it harder though as a coach, because you got to be
way harder as a coach.
Yeah, you have to prepare.
It does. For
4
me and
different
Colby,
lesson
we're
plans.
pretty prepared. Like we'd get together at least once a week and sort of go through what we want to do.
You guys sound switched on because the normal jiu-jitsu coach says,
you guys aren't normal coaches.
Just like,
but we really enjoyed doing it. That's what it was. We liked coaching, so it's like, and I liked seeing the results of them doing well.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I like it. Awesome, man.
Yeah. Boom, we'll wrap it up. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that. If you like it, check us out on Instagram. If you have any other questions you want us to answer, let us know on the Instagram, and we'll see you on the next one. Oos.